Right.
And he runs towards our guy that in the wide shot we saw. It almost looks like he's sunning off to the side. If you look in the wide shot, he's sort of laying on his space blanket. But as our new character runs out, he's carrying a first aid kit. And the reason I know that is because no matter where he runs in relation to the camera, he is holding that box so the red X is always visible, so we know that it is a first aid kit.
They have just gone through this terrible crash. They're covered in markings that look like they might have had a little soot on them, a little smoke, a little whatever. But we have two really pristine fire extinguishers and one really pristine first aid kit.
We don't know what the length of time is between when they crash and when this scene is, because there is no smoke, there is no heat, so this is completely out. Enough time to get the guy out of there, put out the fire with the fire extinguishers. Everything's cooled down because he's climbing all over the ship, so it's not hot.
It's a little on the edge of this minute versus next minute, but I did notice that, the gentleman lying on the metallic blanket, which is totally going to reflect and burn him even more.
He needs heat to keep out of shock.
Right, exactly. They both already look like they have a 2-day suntan on their face.
Yeah.
Both of them do look like they got some sun exposure in some amount of time.
Yeah, I think this wreck is not new.
So,
or not fresh.
When we talk about all the soot and everything, so we've only seen two people. We've heard no mention of anyone else as far as crew goes on the ship.
Yep.
There are fire extinguishers out. I know this. In fact, I can say last week I went out to light my grill. The starter screwed up, and I used a match to toss it, and all of a sudden it was like hair, just singed off my arm and hand, right? So I can only assume if I am then putting out a fire like that, I'm going to have soot. I'm going to have charred elements.
Potentially.
Who the hell was using the fire extinguishers? Did they just throw them out for a little room inside the cabin? Oh, let's put them out here. Who cares about the flame? Neither of them looked like they battled a flame or crashed in a ship.
And the fire extinguishers looked like they weren't even used.
I know.
They're just kind of sitting there like, hey, we put out a fire. It really was like they looked like a very last minute addition to make it look like something had happened.
Somebody did some work.
Like they just they just happened to have them in the back of the truck. Just throw them on set, throw them in the scene.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just the ship, the guy laying out there, and this new guy hopping out with a medical kit.
So as we get to the end of the minute, because you guys really, I think you guys might have heard the start of a conversation, no, and then it might have cut off before we start to the next minute, right?
According to my minute, we get. The way it ends for me, and this is the one I capture that'll be put in there, it ends, and let me also say this, we record this, and I edit them later, so that's why we're talking about this.
What?
So, it ends with him calling the man on the ground skipper. And we find out, apparently, that is the ANSA officially dictated term for the captain, because that's what Dodge called
Taylor
skipper.
Yeah.
I thought, are you kidding me? Here we go with another skipper.
Okay.
Or Taylor called Landon, right?
No, they called. Was it?
Yeah, no, Landon. It was either Landon called Taylor or
somebody called Dave. I think they both called Taylor skipper. I think they both referred to him at some point as skipper. But when I heard it, I thought, okay, are you trying so hard to go back to terminology from the first one?
To have a guy who looks like Charlton Heston and then using a term that they've referenced in other scenes with Charlton Heston in it.
Right.
So this skipper, which is the gentleman lying on the ground, right, has no apparent wounds or any type of injuries. He's just kind of splayed out on the ground on kind of a metallic silver blanket, which is supposed to evoke space blankets.
Right.
Right. And
because that looks futuristic, Richard. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but shiny things look like they're from the future.
Space age. And the gentleman who got out of the cockpit runs over. The skipper tries to sit up, and our new astronaut just kind of puts his hand on trying to calm him down.
Right.
Get the first aid kit. And that's kind of how this minute ends.
Right. It's one of those that, if you've listened to the previous film, you know that these films, kind of the language they start with is it's rather, at least so far, from the first one to this, and the first few minutes are rather slow. There's not a lot to talk about. Well,
again, I was looking at the size of the ship. And I see two people. So I'm wondering, is there a third or a fourth? Are they part of the wreckage? I really was trying to piece this 1 minute together, looking at the ship and calculating, do we have 10 people? Do we have 2 people? Do we have 3 people? Are there people dead?
Yeah.
We have somebody injured.
I don't know.
Well,
maybe future minutes will let us know.
And obviously they will. As we watch on, we'll know things. But as of now, that is a very small-looking ship, and we have one. Did you? Are you? Well, no, you're going to add him in.
At the minute, we didn't have a change.
Okay, that's true. So now you've got a prone man. That's all I'm going to say.
We have an astronaut who's wearing an American flag sleeve on his uniform.
Okay,
and not on his heart.
Well,
so again, a very slow minute, but at least we're into it. We've got brand new footage. We're moving along. We're meeting some people we don't know why they're there, and I wonder if we do this again tomorrow, will we find out why they're there?
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a really good point. After watching Planet of the Apes, getting some recycled footage for the first, and then seeing briefly Nova and Taylor riding around, this is introduction to new characters.
Yeah. It's truly the first foray into the story that we have.
Yeah.
Key rack.
All right, my friends. I think that's pretty much a wrap for this one. We want to thank the Star Wars Minute guys. We usually start off an episode and do that, but let's do it here. Great job that they do has inspired so many people that you can go listen to. If you want to be in it, join us. Do your own. But we thank Pete and Alex for being great mentors to all of us and encouraging all of us to take this leap into it. And we've had a blast doing it so far. So go check them out if you haven't already. But for Richard and Sean, I'm Todd. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Todd. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Beneath the Minute of the Apes. Beneath the Minute of the Apes. Beneath the Minute of the Apes.
The only good human is a dead human.